The time to glide smoothly through the season is over. March is a swamp full of ferocious and hungry predators. And in the swamp, only Gators get out alive. Florida has quietly lurked, waiting on its prey to focus elsewhere, other teams, other players. But it is the Gators who have the best win in college basketball, but they will be measured by how they play in March. They might prove to be the biggest, baddest monster of them all. And we are in the house of the rowdy reptiles, hungry and ready to eat in the madness of March. They are the boys of old Florida, and they know how to celebrate championships. The house that Joakim Noah built, 2 national championships here, and perhaps another one will be added by the time we reach San Antonio. Oh, look, all the Gators are out right now. Albert, I'm sure Alberta's around here someplace ready to take on the Texas A&M Aggies. This has been a regular stop over our 21 seasons for our first time in Gainesville since 2017. Their showdown with A&M tonight. And I tell you what, they are ready to go, and we are delighted to have you with us as the calendar is turned to March, and this is when championships are won. Jay Billis is going to join us from Lexington. Auburn and Kentucky play today alongside Andrea Carter, Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg. I am merely Reese Davis, and Seth has been waiting for this moment here. What do you got, Seth?
How are we doing? It's great. They're ready. Oh, they're ready. They are rowdy reptiles.
It is great to be a Florida Gator. You know what else it's great to be? It's great to be in the SEC this year. There's a potential for the Southeastern Conference to set a record in a couple of weeks with the most bids ever from one conference. And today, unprecedented, according to our ace researcher, Gil Bransford, who's found out we've got 3 top 20 matchups in the SEC. No conference has ever had that on a single day of college basketball. Yeah. This is going to be one of them, but there's one thing to watch in a lot of different places as we start the one thing to watch on this day, Billis.
Alabama at Tennessee, and the matchup to watch is Mark Sears against Chaz Lanier. Mark Sears is averaging 29 points a game over his last 3. He's getting to the foul line, 6 assists per game. He is the Jalen Brunson of the Southeastern Conference. And for Tennessee, Chaz Lanier, 21 points a game over his last 3, 13 of 26 from 3. He's got to put points on the board for the Vols.
Well, this Auburn team is traveling to Kentucky, and I know we talk about Janai Broome a ton, but the one thing to watch is Kentucky's Otega Owe. He's coming off of a 28-point game against his former team, the Oklahoma Sooners. Owe scored the last 18 points for the Wildcats. He needs a big-time performance against Auburn.
Defense. One thing to watch tonight, just how many shots will the Gators block? One of the top shot-blocking teams in the country. They got 3 guys who can do it. Now it's Condon, Ruben Chinyelu, Thomas Houck, all of them will spot it out. And you know who gets a highest percentage of their shots blocked of any team in the country? Texas A&M. They get more shots blocked than anybody else. Now, they rebound a lot of those misses and score off of them, but they do get a lot of shots blocked. The last 2 seasons, you see what Todd Golden and the Gators have been able to do. 48 wins that they put up. They play fast. They score a lot of points. And it is because of that. Look, I said earlier in the scene set, they had the best win in college basketball this year. They went to Auburn, and they won decisively. This is a team that can win the national championship, and certainly it's been a big key part of their reemergence, just the way they played all around.
You know, I got to tell you guys, it's yesterday getting a chance to go to practice and spending time with Todd Golden. You got a chance to see how youthful, how innovative their practice is and their offense, their pace in which they play, shooting threes, how attractive that style is. And I think one of the biggest reasons you have the reemergence of Florida basketball, Drea, is the fact that look at where he learned. He learned under Bruce Pearl. And it's not always about X's and O's. It's about personal relationships. And we have relationships with your players will fight and die and run through walls for you. And that's the relationship he has with all of his players in this team.
Oh, absolutely. And thinking about relationships, the relationship between their 3 starting guards, Walter Clayton Jr., Will Richard, and Elijah Martin, the way that those 3 play off of each other and create for each other is so fun to watch. And how all season long we've talked about transfer portal guys. Elijah Martin, when he came to Florida, he said they need a dog like me, and that has been one of the biggest things for this Florida team.
Yeah, think about this Florida team. They've improved. Last year they were good offensively. They weren't very good defensively.
Yeah.
They've really improved them dramatically defensively, set the defense efficiency. But it's all about get ready to take a shot. Roster construction. If you think about what
Bottoms
they've done
up, everybody.
This Florida roster is they went into the portal, but they got multiple year transfers. In other words, you can build a culture and have culture creators because it's not a rental. Those guys are going to be around for a couple of years. And he went into the mid-major, and every single mid-major guy he went after has been an absolute home run. From Clayton to Richard to Henlocken to Chingalu to Lexus. All those guys have been absolute home runs. Compliment them with those international guys. They defend, they rebound, they're tough, they're mature. And Final Four teams have to be experienced. And this Florida team is poised to go to the Final Four because of the roster.
Bill, it's one of the things that we've talked about throughout the course of the season. It's whether Auburn and Duke have separated. I've brought up a couple of times already that Florida beat Auburn. You can't put too much on one game. Things happen. You're going to have stumbles. From what you've seen, should Florida be included in that group with Auburn and Duke who've separated a little bit?
Yes. Florida, I agree with Seth. That's really difficult. At least a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, you finally got intelligent.
But Florida's defense is Florida's defense has been the difference this year. Last year they could really score. They were an excellent offensive rebounding team. This year their offense is actually better than it was last year, but that's in large part due to the defensive improvement that the Gators have had. Last year Florida was ranked 94th in overall defensive efficiency. This year they're ranked 7th. They're holding opponents to 29% from 3 and 45% from 2. Their rim protection is actually better this year than it was last year, but their guards have taken on the challenge of getting out and really challenging at the three-point line. They're containing the ball, but they're also limiting your open looks from 3. And I think Walter Clayton Jr. is an NBA player. He's a bucket getter, and they've got a quartet of guards that I think are the equal to any quartet of guards in the country, including Auburn.
We're going to be able to talk to some of those guards a little bit later on in the show. You see the SEC standings. Florida sitting in 3rd right now, 3 games back in the loss column, coming off a loss against Georgia in their most recent game. But teams ranked in the AP top 4 since the field expanded to at least 64 in 1985. 56 of those teams reached the Final Four. That's right around 36%. 19 won the national championship. There are no instances of all of them making the Final Four, which that pesky math, Jay, will tell you that somebody outside the top 4 at the moment, or the top 4 when we go into the tournament, is going to make it to the Final Four. So who do you look at outside the top 4 with the best shot?
Well, they've been in the top 4 throughout the course of the season, but I think Alabama's one of those teams. They average 91 points a game. We've talked about Mark Sears already. He is an outstanding guard. The lefty can really score. But one of the things that Alabama has done really well this year, they're shooting 61% from 2-point range. That leads the country. They're a driving team. They get to the free throw line. And one of the things that has separated Alabama of late is that Chris Youngblood is on a heater right now. He's gotten healthy, the transfer from USF, who was the American Athletic Conference Player of the Year at South Florida. Over the last 2 games, he's averaging 20 points a game, 10 of 16 from 3. With him as an additional scoring threat, I think Alabama is a legitimate Final Four contender.
Look, you can't argue with that with Alabama. This Michigan State team is old school Tom Izzo. And what I mean by that is they rebound, top 20 for offense and defensive efficiency. They get out in transition. They share the basketball. And they've had 9 different guys lead them in scoring. So there's strength in numbers. The depth, physicality, and skill level of this Michigan State team could be a team that could be in the Final Four. Old, experienced, tough, rebound, hard to deal with.
And they hit 60-footers to win games now.
So they got range. Everyone talks about their three-point shooting. They got range.
But that is the thing about Michigan State. They find ways to win. You can't count Michigan State out of games because their offensive rebounding, their toughness that they play with. It's like Michigan State's ability to find ways. They got the big win at Michigan. I agree with that one.
Who you got, Dre?
Yeah, I mean, I know these Florida fans want to hear Florida. We've already talked about Florida being a Final Four team, so they're going to have to deal with this. For me, when we talk about a team that's defensive-minded, and I know they don't shoot the three very well, but St. John's is a team to me that can make a run to a Final Four. Their physicality, their strength, their toughness, the way R.J. Lewis Jr. can get to his spots. I remember talking to some NBA players about how that's their biggest thing. Can I get to my spot where I'm the most confident to knock down shots? Richmond does that. R.J. Lewis does that. And I think it would be extremely difficult to prepare for this St. John's team in the